Hi there. Today's topic for our Unraveled series is communication skills for lasting love. And I know this is a big one for people because when you care about people, you kind of have to talk to them.
Yeah.
Like that's
real good.
kind of requirement.
Yeah.
You gotta talk. And sometimes words don't work.
Mm-hmm.
A few of the questions that came up from people include, these are good. I struggle with expressing my needs. How can I communicate without sounding too demanding? What are some ways to explore emotional communication with a partner who shuts down? I already know you're going somewhere with that one. And how do I bring up tough conversations without making things worse? There's a theme.
Yeah.
There's a theme showing up in these. The first one, though, really hit me because it seemed there was a lot more to the question than what was being said.
And
specifically, I struggle with expressing my needs. And then, so how can I communicate without sounding too demanding? And I would offer the idea that people who struggle to communicate their needs probably aren't being demanding. Like you're actually not demanding what you need if you're struggling to communicate what you need. Like that's one side of it. The other side is for someone who may sound demanding when they're finally communicating their needs. I'm wondering how long did they practice self-abandonment or minimizing their needs? And now it's a teapot situation.
Yes.
So you're like, I'm saying all the things now versus saying what you need in the moment. And I know you and I have talked about this before, where like when you're in conflict and when you're communicating with people, how they're experiencing it, you can't control it. You can only control you. And so I would love to hear a little bit more about how you navigate that, being the fiery friend that you are.
Leos, rise up. So I think one thing to note is when we are able to express ourselves with a greater ease, that means that we are deeply in touch with what our needs are. To our point around what we explored with self-love, what we explored with self-worth, it's the seat of your heart and where you're able to come from with an intention that is there to help resolve. And remember when we talked about who's in the room with us, where are we when we're trying to get through to these like spaces of like resolution? Is it that you're being too demanding, or is it that there's a possibility that the person in front of you isn't actually seeing you, interested in resolving?
Have you been gaslit into thinking you're being too demanding?
But that's the word. Are you being gaslit? And this is how we start to realize, like, wait a minute. Am I in a circumstance or a situation where there isn't actually a space for resolution?
There's only a space for compliance.
I don't know how I feel about that. I do know how I feel about that.
I know how you feel about that. And
so
shout out again to the fiery Leo sign. But we often run into that, right? It isn't so much about resolution as much as it is, I have to comply, or I need to acquiesce, or I need to minimize and make myself smaller in communication to maintain the peace, which you're actually not at all peaceful.
That's not peaceful. Whose peace?
Whose peace? So, and that's real though, because none of us want to be alone.
Right.
Well, let me reframe that, because I think there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. People don't want to feel lonely. We are made to be in community.
For sure.
And so for people who are in situations where it's like, this is all I got, this is the best that I have, how do I communicate with someone who isn't seeing me? But if that's the only person that's around, or there's the only people around, I can't just not interact with them anymore. I won't have anyone.
Right. Oh. So I have to take a pause for that. We have to really hold space for that truth.
That's a
reality for many people. Let's approach it from a perspective around how you build and develop language that perhaps can help with navigating with a person that may be challenging. And this is an assumption. Perhaps a person is very much so open to what you have to say and what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of coming from it or approaching it like you're attacking, and being tactful in your communication skills is something that is a key support in being able to navigate through the world.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to be tactful in your communication is a skill that everyone can use and develop. So instead of attacking someone where you always do this, you never,
the always, never,
these words
all encompassing
can be triggering for anyone. Anyone can feel defensive around that, right? So perhaps center your experience and whatever it is that you are trying to communicate to this person. I am feeling, I am experiencing, I have noticed, I have felt. And then express your truth, but then also being able to be vulnerable with yourself and express, like, this made me feel so lost, lonely, like I wasn't being seen or heard. And what happens next, how the person responds, please listen, pay attention, because it's going to give you the information that you need on how to take the next steps. Is this person willing? If they say, oh, I hadn't considered that. Or, oh, I hear where you're coming from. Or why? Asking questions even. Why do you feel that way? This starts to open up the space for a heart-to-heart, a love-centered space of communication. This is what's most important. If the person is like attacking you,
go back to episode 2. We have some things to share on.
Hi, please, because that is something to take into consideration. We are not operating alone. So you have to work with the person in front of you. If the person in front of you isn't working with you back, then are you being too demanding, or this person just not able to meet your needs?
I appreciate that you name that around, they're communicating something to you if they're not, if they respond in an attacking way or they respond in a whatever kind of way. Also, I love what you said in the last episode when we got into, you're not sure who's in that conversation at this point. You know who's in the conversation with you, but they may not be ready to hear that. So we're also not saying if someone, you try to communicate a need and someone is defensive, you just need to leave them. It is, but you may need to leave that particular argument. You may need to pause on that moment.
Really consider where you are, where both of you are. Have you rested? Is it 11 p.m. and y'all trying to get into this? Come on, y'all.
Have you eaten? Because if I haven't eaten...
What's happening at work or in your other environments?
How do you physically feel?
So there are things that we can develop. I think you mentioned it before, or we talked about this, having a game plan, when to prep for how you approach conflict.
Yeah.
When the conflict is not...
when you're not in the game.
Being able to look at it from outside of a situation that's a lot of tension, when you're relaxing, like how do you feel about conflict? Even engaging someone that you care about, what does it make you feel? How do you interpret tough conversations?
What do you need? And that truly is communicating from a place of love, right? It is not waiting to communicate when things are hard. It's a constant flow of communication always.
Yes.
Because we are always communicating something.
Sure. In some way, shape, or form.
To someone. And let's be honest, only like 13% is actually verbal. Like so much more of your communication is everything else that you do. So all that gets to play into it. One of the things I want to come back to when you spoke about talk about how you feel. I absolutely 100%. I statements, I feel. What I do notice, tell me if you notice this as well, people tend to do, and I am people, I am people. I am said people. It's I feel like sometimes you don't. Or I feel like I always have to.
Ooh.
Those aren't feelings.
Right.
If it's a sentence, it's not a feeling.
For sure.
Because a feeling is a word. And so even when we're saying that I feel, us doing the work on tapping into what are our feelings. We have feelings that are more than angry, sleepy, hungry, horny, sad, happy. Like, we're not the seven dwarfs, right? But those are the ones that they're most comfortable articulating. Yeah. But our body is expressing so many more. And there are some really great resources, different types of feeling wheels that allow people to start. There's also some like really cool apps around it that allow people just to start getting more familiar with other words for happy. You know, I am elated. I am joyful. I am rested. I am calm. Just all the, you know, I am frustrated. I am disgusted. I am fearful. When you really start to understand what options you have for feeling words, you can then better communicate which one makes the most sense to you. Because what we often hear is well, I feel like you. No, it's not a feeling. It's not. But wanted to definitely bring that in because it's an accusation that is not a feeling. I may be said people that have done that from. I'm sure I have a time or two, once or twice. Please don't come into the comments and tell me all the times I have done that. Please and thank you. I'm working on it. I'm a work in progress. A work in progress. So there's an interesting component of just the framing and the phrase of this particular topic: communication skills for lasting love. I think immediately people may jump to, we're talking about romantic relationships. And one of the things I invite and encourage all of us to do is really work on decentralizing love. And so it doesn't just romantic have to, love. Well, just decentralizing love altogether, because some love is romantic. Some love you're going to be getting from family and friends. Some love you're going to be getting, you know, in other spaces of your life. And so that also helps to not make your romantic partnership have to be the one. Like everything rests on communication being great and perfect all the time with that person. Also in these other relationships, you can practice these skills. For sure. You can, I mean, and it may shift depending on who you're talking to, but I often think sometimes we're like, I have to have proper communication for lasting love. And we think love means romance. Like actually love means any relationship that you want to maintain that's helpful and healthy and encouraging and supportive to you. And so could you say a little bit about how people can navigate communicating if it's with caregivers versus siblings versus intimate partners or intimate partnerships and then intimate friendships. So when I say intimate friendships, I mean close friendships. Intimacy isn't necessarily always about, actually intimacy isn't about sex. It's not about sex. It's just like, are you deeply vulnerable with this person? And so can you say a little bit about when you're communicating, what ways does it work across the board? And what ways is it okay to kind of parse out when I'm communicating with this person, I might need this thing? So I think we send a lot and give a lot of grace to the people we find the stakes may be a little bit, I don't want to say lower. But lower. The stakes are lower. Yeah. In terms of your need or your relationship with them validating something in you. Exactly. And so if you're thinking about your intimate friendships, for example, I want to clarify though, because when you are in conversation with your friends, and we'll just create it from a one-to-one, you and I, for example, we have a relationship where if, for example, I say something, you know, off camera, and I just be saying anything with love in my heart. With love in my heart. But a little bite on my tongue. Right. But you will take a moment and you're like, so what does that, there is a developing, a practicing how to navigate with someone who the stakes are lower with, who's willing to see you. And also willing to check in on what are you really trying to communicate, or what are you really saying? Is there something else underneath or behind that? And with intimate friendships, you get to practice. Yeah. And you also have the space to vent. Because then the through line for me is like romantic partnerships. If you are leaning or relying on your romantic partnerships to be everything, or your romantic partner specifically to be everything for you, you're doing yourself a disadvantage, and you are absolutely
creating an environment for harm for that person and for yourself.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing to take into consideration. But when you're dealing with your friendships, you get to practice what you preach and what you want to come through in your other relationships. When you're dealing with family.
Oh,
I just even said family. That's layered.
Yes.
That is
chosen family, biological family.
So your caregiver, for example, will say mother, father, or just your primary caregiver. You carry a lot of emotion from childhood.
There's a lot of history there.
There's a lot going on there. So you may not even have the grace that you maybe want to have with these people. Perhaps that's not the case. Maybe it's great. Maybe it's great. But in the event that isn't, you may not be able to consider, you may need to consider how you're able to communicate with them and the depth that you can go in.
This part. How much can they
handle without feeling like they're being attacked?
No, that's real.
We give grace and love to our caregivers. They're doing the best that they can.
I feel like we've said that in every episode, also because we both have Black moms. And if they are watching this,
Mama,
love you. I mean it. Please don't whoop me as a girl.
Please. But what I'm saying is, where are they? Yeah. And then you think about your siblings. I have siblings. I talk to them any type of way, with love. But we grew up together, so we have a different type of relationship. And our history looks like, you have always spoken your mind to me. And then also within that, where are you? Are you the oldest? Are you the middle?
Because I'm pretty sure my two younger brothers would have a very different response to me saying what I need to say to them in love.
Right.
Birth order matters.
Birth order matters. Do you see how expansive this is? But I find that if you can go to your relationships where there is a lot of trust and kindness around and just a gentleness, right? And also I want to take into consideration there's really great relationships like mentors.
This part.
This is something that I've found
people don't tap into enough.
I've found mentors, like my mentors have been really supportive in helping me to develop language that is going to be more effective in my other relationships. And so I think that when we look at how we approach each person in front of us, whatever the history is in that relationship, then we can practice a version of ourselves that is able to see, hear, and be willing to come together.
I love that.
Like really being willing to come together.
I love that.
And you may not have that always as easily in the higher stake relationships, for example, the romantic love.
Isn't it funny? By funny, I mean not at all. The people we have the least amount of history with, we often have the highest expectation for and put the biggest burden on to make us feel a way.
Well,
which makes that communication, which makes the communication stakes that much harder. Because to your point, if you and I are talking and you say a thing or I say a thing, it's like,
right.
But we also know each other. And there's a level of grace that we give because you can put your friends and in your intimate friendships and your different relationships into these buckets. Like this friend is this is their skill. This is where they shine. This is where they're great. And so when I'm communicating with them, I know how to communicate to this friend in this particular way and this friend in this way. But if we're looking for a romantic partner to cover the full breadth of all of these, that means I have to be able to communicate with you in all these ways, and you have to be able to communicate back with me in a way that feels good and meets my expectation in all these ways. Not possible.
It's not possible. And I think that's where we start to realize it's important to take our romantic relationships off this pedestal.
This part.
And realize culturally, it makes sense to have a well-rounded community to support.
Of love. A community of love.
that you are wanting to foster and facilitate. And no one, but I'll extend some more grace. No one person can fill what you're hoping.
Absolutely. But that goes back to self-love.
Yes.
Self-care.
Episodes 1 and 2.
1 and 2. Self-worthiness.
Yeah.
All of these things are playing into each other. But to that end, communication is required.
Yeah.
You kind of can't get around it.
Yeah.
And it is a skill
that
you must first work on within yourself.
Yeah.
You have to first communicate to yourself what you need, how you feel, what you want, what you don't want.
Right.
Before you can communicate outward.
And practice and realize that you will have missteps, and that's okay.
We say it every single time. Yeah. This work is not easy.
It's not easy.
But it's worth it. It's worth it. Thank you all for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
Thank you so much for joining us for Season 2 of Unraveled, brought to you by the Loveland Foundation. If you enjoyed this and this resonated with you, please like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts, your feedback. Really matter to us.
It does. We want to know how we can be of service to you in the future. Oh, and put your questions in there for Season 3.
Until next time.